BookTube, it's Missy, and today I'm here to give you guys my year-a-thon, read-a-thon, and my cram-a-thon wrap-ups, along with my weekly 27 wrap-up. It's all combined. I'm excited. I read a ton of books last week, and I can't wait to share with you the books. The first one that I started reading for the A Year-a-thon read-a-thon was The Cemetery Boys by Heather Brewer. This is a mystery novel, and I got almost halfway through. This one was really hard. I still haven't finished it because it was dragging. The main character is such a whiner. I don't even remember what his first name is. Steven. Steven moves to a town in Michigan. Is it Michigan? I don't even know. I think it's Michigan. He moves to a small town in Michigan from Denver, Colorado, because his mom is in a mental institute and they have too many bills trying to pay for her to stay there. So they move in with the father's mother, and she's a shrewd, very mean old lady, and there's something twisted and paranormal about the small town that Steven and his father has moved to. And so with that, like that synopsis, you would think that this would be a really fun read, but it's really boring so far. He just kind of touched on the paranormal aspect of the town, but the first half of the book, I wanted to kill him. He was so irritating. And so I put this book down and picked up a different mystery, which was one of the short stories recommended to me, I think by Penelope. I read the Red-Headed League, which was really funny. It's about a man who is given an advertisement by one of his employees. The advertisement says, you know, minimal amount of work, and then you get £4 a week if you want this job. So the guy goes to the place of business. He qualifies for the job. One of the qualifications was to be a redhead, which is very strange. And all he had to do was copy out of an encyclopedia starting from the letter A, and he'd get £4 a week, and he'd have to be there for like 4 hours a day. And then he goes to Sherlock Holmes and says, hey, can you figure out why this place of business shut down and why I can't get this extra amount of money? I thought I was doing a good job, and they just upped and left. And so Sherlock has to go and find out what this Red-Headed League was, why did they disappear, and yada yada. I really liked it. I read it out loud to my 2 children, and they liked it too. They got the gist of it. There was 2 things in there that they were talking about that my son was like, what does that mean, Mom? And I didn't know either, so I haven't really looked it up yet, but there are some words in here that you may not know what they're used for. Like, for instance, Sherlock says that the guy could use a rubber later, and in our modern day, a rubber is usually like a condom. I don't know what it's used for in Sherlock's. Now I have to look it up and find out. But they liked it and I liked it. So that was another mystery that I read. And then I pretty much gave up on the A Year-a-thon read-a-thon because I just couldn't get into the Cemetery Boys. And so I decided to start on my cram-a-thon TBR. And I started it at midnight on Friday. And the first book that I read was The Sandman by Neil Gaiman. This is volume 1 of his series, and this is Preludes and Nocturnes. Yeah. And this is just about the King of Dreams. He is summoned into the human realm and held prisoner for 70 years. And once he's released, or he escapes really, he has to like figure out what happened during the time that he was missing, and he has to go on this adventure to find some of his items that were stolen from him when he was captured. And it was really good. Let me just show you a quick, like, the main character, the King of Dreams, just reminds me of Snape. The movie, obviously. Well, maybe even the book Snape. It just, he looks really creepy, and I loved this volume, and I do have volume 2, so I can't wait to continue on with this graphic novel series. And then I read I read the second book, which was Chimera, on my Kindle. There's the picture. These are the first 2 books that I read for the first challenge, was read 2 books in 24 hours. And so I finished Chimera that first day as well. And Chimera is a 100-page ebook that I got from NetGalley, which I'm considering to be a novella since it was small. I got it for, I think it was on the Read Now, so you didn't even have to request it at NetGalley. You can just download it. And it was really good. It's a middle grade about a boy who gets lost. And once you're lost, you end up in Chimera, which is the world of the forgotten. So it's not only people that get lost and forgotten, but items or animals. And in Chimera, there is a main lady called the Madame Charisse or something like that, which is the color yellow. I can't say the right way of saying yellow, but she is like the queen of Chimera. And there is also a city that everybody goes to, which is Thingopolis, and so the free lost items live there, and then the other people that have been either collected by the Madame Charisse, they get taken and held hostage at her kingdom or whatever. I just thought it was so fascinating. It was a very quick read. The boy has to go on an adventure on how to get out of Chimera, and he helps some things on the way. They're not toys, but the whole story reminded me of Toy Story 3 and also a little bit of Alice in Wonderland. The original and the one written by A.G. Howard. There's like a metamorphosis that happens when you reach Chimera, the forgotten world, and you things like couches and chairs. After so many years being forgotten, they start being able to talk and then being able to move and being able to think for themselves. And it was just very peculiar and very fun to read. And I also have book 2 and 3 on my Kindle, so I cannot wait to read those. So that covered the first challenge, which was read a graphic novel, the second challenge, which was to read an ebook, and the third challenge, which was to read 2 books in 24 hours. The fourth challenge was to read a hardback, and I read The Island of Excess Love by Francesca Leah Block. This is the sequel to A Time in the Love in the Time of Global Warming. Now, the first book, which is right here, this was a slightly loose-based retelling of Homer's Odyssey. So with this one, it was loosely based on Virgil's Aeneid, which is another Roman epic story. This is about the Trojan horse and the people that were inside the horse, I believe. And so it's their story. So this is loosely based on that. I didn't like this sequel as much as I liked the first one. Penelope ends up being not much of a hero in this book. She's very scared all the time and just wants everything to go back to normal. And her brother Venice actually steps up to the plate of being leader and helps everyone that is from the first book to continue to stay grouped up and focus on what their goal is, and that is to, live in this new world where, because it's a dystopian, so the after the Earth Shaker, if that makes sense. So basically, it was okay. I gave it 3 stars. I wish it was a little better, but there was a lot of conflict in this book between Penn and Hex, and I didn't like that part. I felt bad for them, and so, Anyways, 3 stars. I am glad I finished this duology. All right, and then the next challenge was to read a book that was in verse, but I didn't have a book in verse, so I read a book that had short stories in it. And this is from Yoko Ogawa. This is Revenge, and this is 11 Dark Tales. Now, the last short story collection that I read was Red Spikes, and those were all short stories that had nothing to do with each other, but they were all very strange and unusual. This book actually has 11 short stories that intertwine with each other, which I absolutely loved. So the first story is called Afternoon at the Bakery, and that's what it keeps going back to this bakery throughout all of the short stories. So the first one is about a lady who's waiting to buy some strawberry shortcakes for her son's birthday, and there is a clock tower outside, or the fountain, and every day at 5 o'clock when it chimes, a little spectacle happens, and like the clock opens up, and like the little automatons or whatever go around and like play bugles and dance and so forth. And so it's kind of wrapped around the fountain, but also the bakery, and like I said, all the stories are intertwined. It all takes place in the same city, and I just absolutely loved them. Some of them were really creepy, others were just strange, especially the one about the carrots that came out looking like hands. That was very weird, but overall I really enjoyed this book. I believe I gave it 4 stars, and I cannot wait to buy the other books from this woman. They are all 3 of them were on Book Outlet, and I missed one of them, which I'm sad about. But it's The Diving Pool, which is a collection of 3 novellas, or 3 short stories. And then there's The Housekeeper and the Professor, and that one is about a man who is a professor of math, but he only has like a 48-hour, not 48-hour. He has memory loss, like short-term memory loss, and so the housekeeper that comes to help him, you know, like clean and all that stuff, she has to introduce herself every single day, almost like, how many, 50 Dates or something like that, with Adam Sandler and Drew Barrymore. It kind of reminded me of that. I haven't read it yet, but that's what the synopsis reminds me of. So I don't know if they fall in love or if they just have like a companionship, but each day she has to introduce herself again, and they finally enjoy each other and the math and all that. So I want to buy that book. It sounds really interesting. And then the last one is called Hotel Iris, and that one is about a girl who lives at a hotel that her parents work at, and an older man comes in, and they kind of have like a fling. I don't know if it's a long-lasting fling or just, you know, a one-night kind of thing, but that sounds intriguing as well. So I really enjoyed Yoko Ogawa's writing, and this was translated by, what's the man's name? By Steven Snyder, and he did a really good job. So if you guys are interested in some very strange Asian horror kind of stories, I would definitely pick this up. And then the last book that I read or completed during the Cramathon was Coma by Alex Garland. This one I read for the Cramathon, but also for the Yearathon, because this is a mystery and it's short and it was on my shelf. This one was very weird and I absolutely loved it. I gave this one a 4-star as well. This is about a man who catches a subway really late at night, and he gets like attacked on the subway by like 4 teenagers and gets put in a coma. And the entire time he's in this book, he's trying to figure out how to wake up. Like, he's conscious enough to know that he's in a coma, but he's not conscious enough to actually awaken from this coma. And who knows how long he's been in this state, but it goes through different phases of consciousness. And I just thought it was super fascinating. I really liked it. There are illustrations that go along with each chapter, and this kind of like not sums up the story, the chapter itself, but goes along with the chapter. And they're all very simple pictures. Like this one, because he was in consciousness, like really deep, and he didn't see anything. But like, yeah, it was just, I really enjoyed all of the illustrations. And if you like, look how big those margins are. It was just super easy. It was a one-day read, really, really fast. really enjoyed it. So basically this was the 5th book to go along with all of my books. So this was the last challenge. The only thing I didn't finish was my middle grade, but I got 6 out of the 7 challenges done. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, which is really exciting. The 6th book that I read during the Cramathon was The Beastkeeper by Kat Hellison. I am halfway done. It's really good. I am definitely excited and happy that I picked it up before I had to turn it into the library, because I would have missed out if I decided just to return it without trying it out first. It's really good so far. It's about a girl who finds out that her family is cursed on both sides, and so she has to figure out a way to like break the curse, and she hasn't figured out how to do it yet in the book where I'm at, but it's really exciting, and I just love the magical, like just the fantasy world of this book. It is slightly based on Beauty and the Beast, but very slightly. But I am really enjoying it. It's definitely middle grade. The girl's in 7th grade. But I love it. I love it so far. It kind of reminds me of Beauty and the Beast and The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. So it's very like reminiscent of those kinds of books. I can't wait to finish it. I'll finish it definitely today. I think I only have like 70 pages left. So that is it. Like I said, I did 5 books during the Cramathon, and I finished 1 short story and half of a book for the A Year-a-thon. I did pretty well. That's a lot of books that I read this week. So let me know down below what you guys read for the Cramathon, if you finished all of the challenges. I can't believe I got 6 out of 7 of the challenges done. And it was only for, you know, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. 4 days. I did so good. And I'm glad to get these little books off my reading shelf and onto my read part of the shelf, which is very exciting. And that is it. I hope you guys have a wonderful week, and I will talk to you soon. Bye!